Step into the supernatural. 7 bold prayers revealed for divine healing and faith over fear. In the heart of a quaint English village, nestled among lush, rolling hills, a profound stirring awaited all who dared to intercede. The sun had dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow across the homes as the evening drew near. It was a sacred moment. Mary's heart beat in rhythm with the hopeful whispers of the villagers. With her youngest son, Daniel, gravely ill, she felt the weight of despair pressing heavily upon her soul. Yet she would not cower. Her faith was a fiery beacon, illuminating the path ahead. She gathered her friends and fellow parishioners in the small, intimate church, where flickering candles danced like heavenly spirits. "Join me," she called, her voice echoing with divine conviction. "Let us pray." The air thickened with spiritual energy as they united in fervent voices. "O Saint Jude, patron of desperate cases, hear our cries." Mary spoke, her hands lifted high as if pulling down the very heavens above. A hush fell over the crowd, an electric anticipation crackling in the atmosphere. This was no ordinary prayer meeting. As they began 7 bold prayers for divine healing, testimonies of miracles and grace spilled forth from trembling lips. Mary's friends recounted tales of broken limbs restored, of cancers vanquished by faith, of families pulled from the brink of despair by divine intervention. Each story kindled hope, igniting a collective fire within the hearts of those present. Mary, emboldened by the Spirit, led them in petitioning God for a miraculous touch on Daniel's frail body. "Let our prayers be a lifeline," she urged, fervently gesturing as if to catch the very essence of God's promises, but a shadow loomed in Mary's heart. Her husband, James, stood quietly skeptical, arms crossed, masked by the burdens of reason and science. "Mary," he began softly, but doubt lingered uninvited. What if this doesn't change anything?" The air became charged with tension. It seemed to ripple between faith and fear, threatening to tear the very fabric of their family apart. Mary's heart yearned for unity, but the clash between his skepticism and her soaring hope made her ache inside. Suddenly, a profound stillness enveloped the room. Just as despair threatened to sweep in, a savior silence fell, a beckoning calm that made every heart still. It was then, amidst prayers and tears of longing, that Daniel stirred unexpectedly. His frail body began to respond to an unseen presence, life flooding back into his cheeks. Gasps and cries of joy erupted. Believers and doubters alike were captivated by this miraculous awakening. "Can it be true?" whispered one woman, glancing from Mary to James, her eyes wide with disbelief and awe. The church, once a haven of prayer, transformed into a sanctuary of divine grace. As testimonies of healing began to unfurl around them, boundaries blurred, and the villagers rejoiced in the unity of miraculous faith, but still, doubt simmered in the corners of James' mind, casting shadows over the miracles unfolding. Would he reconcile faith with reason? Would he see this as a pivotal moment, or merely a fleeting miracle? The village stood suspended at the edge of a new beginning, yet Mary knew this journey was far from over. They had tasted the supernatural, but how far would it take them? The night finished, yet anticipation pulsed in every heart as they awaited what faith's bold movements would reveal next. The following morning dawned bright and warm, sunlight filtering through the window panes to dance upon the wooden floors of the church. Mary was the first to arrive, her heart still buoyed by last night's remarkable conversations and prayers. She could hardly believe that her son, once so frail, now lay sleeping peacefully in their home, breathing steadily as if the weight of sickness had been lifted. She knelt by the altar, feeling the cool stone beneath her hands, and whispered a prayer of gratitude. "Thank you, Lord, for this miracle," she breathed, her heart swelling with a deep, abiding joy. But deep within, the shadows of doubt still loomed. What if this moment is fleeting, she pondered, clutching the golden cross hanging from her neck. What if? The door creaked open, and James entered, casting his gaze around the church. There was an intensity in his expression, it held both wonder and struggle. Seeing Mary, he approached with cautious steps. Last night he hesitated, searching for the right words. Seeing Daniel, it felt profound. Mary's heart raced at the hesitation in his voice. "Do you believe?" she asked gently, her eyes wide with hope. An ambivalent smile crept onto James' face. "I believe something happened. I can't explain it. But there's still this nagging feeling, what if it was just a coincidence?" The word seemed to hang in the air, a bridge between their diverging beliefs. "St. Jude is no coincidence," Mary countered softly, the fire of her faith now evident in her tone. She reached for her husband's hand, squeezing it. God's presence was here. Miracles don't just happen. They're born from faith. James looked into her earnest eyes, the churning within him palpable. Did he dare to step into this new reality, where the impossible became possible? But doubt continued to tug at him, a tether to familiar ground holding him back from the brighter realm of unwavering faith. The villagers began to arrive, filling the pews with anticipation and excitement. Mary was buoyed by their eagerness, a palpable force that seemed to fill the air with divine energy. Whispers of hope had transformed into a palpable anointing, and each villager carried within them a piece of the miracle they had witnessed. As they prayed again, more fervently this time, the atmosphere thickened. They cried out for Daniel, for healing, for courage, and as they reached out in faith, Mary felt her heart beat in rhythm with theirs. Together, they were a powerful chorus, an orchestra of intercession. Every prayer ignites a spark. A voice rang out among them, and strong amens followed. People began to share their own stories of struggles and healing, of fear overcome by faith, and it transformed into a tidal wave of shared testimony. Each story stitched them closer as a community, reinforcing the bonds of their collective belief. Yet, as the last prayer was spoken, Mary's eyes flicked toward James. He stood at the back, arms crossed tight again, his expression a bitter battle of belief and doubt. The warmth of faith brimming within her contrasted sharply with the chill of skepticism that shadowed him. Suddenly, the church door creaked open again, and in walked a stranger, cloaked in ordinary clothes yet radiating a strange, ethereal light. Whispers filled the space. Who was this person interrupting their gathering? Mary felt her heart quicken, anticipation spreading like wildfire. What revelation awaited them now? Would this new presence shift the course of their faith journey or deepen their resolve? The moment hung suspended, a divine mystery ready to unfold. The stranger stepped forward, and in the silence that enveloped the church, the light around him seemed to swirl, catching the eye of every villager. His eyes sparkled as though he had seen heavenly realms, and yet his face bore a gentle warmth that made him instantly approachable. "Peace be with you," he said, his voice smooth and calming. It wrapped around the congregation like a soft blanket, easing the tension that had settled over them. Murmurs of curiosity rippled through the pews, hearts began to beat in a synchrony that echoed in the sacred space. Mary, caught in the moment, took a deep breath as she stepped closer. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, yet carrying the weight of her curiosity. "I am a messenger," the man replied, his eyes sweeping over the congregation, each pair drawn in by the sincerity radiating from him. "I come not to sow division, but to illuminate the path ahead, a path of faith and healing." James shifted uncomfortably at the back, the tension in his muscles betraying his internal struggle. What could this man possibly mean? Mary's heart fluttered with intrigue, and she felt an urge to embrace the words that resonated so deeply, like echoes from the core of her belief. "Many of you gathered here have prayed with fervor," the man continued, his voice steady, "and your prayers have not gone unheard. Your faith has ignited a divine spark. Today, I bring you an invitation." The air felt charged with a kind of electricity. "An invitation to proclaim your deepest needs before heaven." He extended his arms wide, as if inviting the entire congregation to step forward into something greater. It is time for bold prayers to be lifted high, for faith to rise above fear, for the miraculous to be unleashed. A hush fell as everyone considered his words. The weight of doubt hung thick, yet the flickering flame of hope burned within. They had witnessed a miracle in Daniel, but could they summon the courage to invoke further intervention? "Bring forth your requests," the stranger urged. Let your hearts be vulnerable. Together, we will pray 7 bold prayers that plead for divine healing and transformation. Mary felt her spirit ignite. She turned to the villagers beside her, their eyes reflecting a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Could they truly ask so much of God? Would this moment define their faith or shatter it? One villager, an elderly woman named Ruth, stood up, her voice trembling with emotion. I pray for my grandson. He battles with a darkness we can barely face. Those words broke the dam of unspoken fears, and one by one, others began to rise, voicing their requests, their fears, their hopes. I pray for my sister's broken health, for guidance in my family, for the financial burdens that weigh us down. Each utterance seemed to hang in the air like incense, rising toward heaven, entwined with their faith and desperation. Mary felt the power of their collective heartbeats, a surge that connected each soul present. As the stranger led them in prayers, something deep within Mary started to glow brighter. She had never experienced faith quite like this, a communal plea mingling with a gentle assurance of God's presence. The room shimmered with fearlessness, with faith awakened, shifting the very atmosphere around them, but even amid such fervent outpouring, James remained still at the back, unwittingly casting shadows over the warm light embracing the congregation. Mary's attention was drawn back to him, and her heart sank. Would he let go of his doubt? Would he step into the flow of faith that pulsed through those gathered? As the last of the bold prayers ascended, the stranger raised his hands. Now, dear ones, prepare your hearts. Clarity will come, and the veil of doubt may be lifted. God has a purpose for each of you in this sacred assembly. The air thickened again, pregnant with expectation, a divine intrigue whispering just out of reach. What revelation was set to unfold amidst the fervor of their prayers? And would it be enough to stir even James' reluctant heart? As the atmosphere held its breath, the congregation felt poised on the edge of the miraculous. The silence was palpable, as though the very air were saturated with sacred anticipation. Mary held her breath, feeling as though something extraordinary was about to occur. The stranger lowered his hands, and in that stillness, a faint breeze danced through the open doors, rustling the curtains at the back of the church, as if welcoming the divine winds of change. Open your eyes and hearts, he said softly, his voice weaving effortlessly through the expectancy. Your faith is your greatest ally now. With bold prayers, you hold the key to unlock heaven's treasures. James shifted again, his brow furrowed, caught in a battle between skepticism and the stirring of something deeper. Mary dared to step away from the crowd, moving toward him, her heart racing. She saw the confusion in his eyes, a flicker of something that looked like hope mixed with uncertainty. James, she whispered, reaching out to him gently. Don't you feel it? The presence, it's different. It's alive. He caught her gaze, a momentary connection framing the question hanging between them. How much faith did he need to let in? Did he trust enough to join the other villagers as they lifted their voices? Before he could respond, the stranger continued, drawing the attention once more. Now we will embark on the first prayer together. Let us focus on the healing of relationships. He led them, guiding their hearts to those who had been separated, those harboring bitterness or grief. Pour out your hearts, forgive, and seek forgiveness. Let love spill over in abundance. Mary's heart resonated deeply with this call. She thought of her own sister with whom she had lost touch. She closed her eyes, offering her silent request to the Lord not just for healing, but for a mending of their hearts. As their voices swelled, like a choir harmonizing with the very heartbeat of the universe, James hesitated. A flicker of doubt crossed his features, but Mary sensed a gentle nudge within him, perhaps curiosity, perhaps yearning. The stranger's voice rose above the prayers. The second prayer is for physical healing. Those among you who are suffering, lift your pleas. Engage your faith and believe in the impossible. The weight of the atmosphere swirled, each request lifting up like fragrant smoke. Joy and sadness intertwined, a tapestry of hopes and fears. The intensity was almost palpable as prayers for pain and illness surrounded them, weaving a sanctum of collective trust. Yet still, James remained rooted, the pull of his inner skepticism battling the compelling spirit surrounding him. Was he ready to let go of the weight he carried? Mary could not look away, her heart aching for him. Would this be the moment he decided to abandon his burdens? The prayers enveloped them like a rising tide, building momentum, provoking an unseen shift. When the stranger moved to the third prayer, he beckoned them into a prayer of guidance. Ask for divine direction in your lives, for wisdom in your decisions. Embrace the clarity that is promised. Let your requests be known. With every call to prayer, Mary felt an electric pulse of faith coursing through her veins. Around her, she heard hearts sharing more than words, they shared the essence of their souls. Each voice seemed to dissolve barriers that separated them, their spirits flickering with a glow of connection. James took a deep breath, and as he watched the villagers around him joining in unison, something stirred inside him, a glimmer of hope, a taste of the supernatural. As they reached the sixth prayer, one that implored abundance and provision, Mary caught James' eye once more. If you want to be part of this, James, just let go, just open your heart. You're not alone. The stranger's voice rose, words pouring forth with divine assurance that left the church in a state of eager expectancy. In our final prayer, plead for the manifestation of miracles. Ask for joy to flood your lives, for the very essence of God's grace to saturate every corner. In that moment, James seemed to waver, a flicker of vulnerability breaking through. Would he embrace the unknown, step out in faith, and surrender his doubts to something far greater than himself? The congregation prayed fervently, their spirits straining toward heaven as they sought divine favor. Mary watched, breaths mixed with prayers, wanting desperately to see the release of James' doubt. The stranger paused, sensing the gravity of the moment. Prepare to witness the extraordinary and allow your hearts to be transformed. And with that, the air thrummed like a tuning fork ready to explode with sound, leaving everyone wondering what miracle awaited them now. As the final words of the stranger echoed into the church, a palpable stillness settled over the crowd. They seemed to hold their breath, waiting as if the air itself was thickening with expectation. Mary sensed a stirring within her, an inner warmth radiating as prayers merged like a river flowing toward an unseen destination. The atmosphere shifted. The faint glow of candlelight flickered, casting shadows that danced along the ancient stone walls. Each flicker held the promise of divine presence, a reminder that faith could illuminate even the darkest corners. Soft murmurs arose from the congregation, a syncopated rhythm of heartbeats as they became one, a united front of faith. Faith that believes. The stranger proclaimed, his voice rising above the swelling tide of prayer. Faith that sees. It is time to see beyond the veil of the ordinary. Mary's hands clasped tighter, her mind racing with images of her sister alongside the waves of prayer cascading around them. The weight of unresolved feelings felt lighter, buoyed by hope and faith. She could feel the Holy Spirit moving, weaving through each person, connecting spirits like a celestial tapestry. James watched incredulously as the energy in the room surged. Conviction tugged at his heart. Was this what he had longed for, the assurance he sought? The hesitance that gripped him began to loosen as he felt a tug towards the invisible grace swirling in the air, beckoning him closer. Let the heart of our Lord be known, the stranger invoked, raising his arms as if to embrace the heavens themselves. Pray for the divine to intervene, for him to do what only he can. Lift your voices, asking for the miraculous. In that moment, the congregation erupted, fervent prayers escaping their lips, shouts of need mixed with declarations of faith. Each voice was a brushstroke on the canvas of divine encounter, creating a masterpiece that resounded with the wonder of possibility. James closed his eyes, surrendering to the swell of prayer swirling around him. His heart raced, slightly frightened by the fire igniting within. What do I truly believe? He wondered. Mary, sensing his turmoil, gently took his hand. We're in this together. Her words were simple yet profound, a tether in the storm of emotions. She felt the warmth of faith radiate through their connection, urging him to trust. Open your heart. The stranger's voice rang out, powerful and unwavering. Let the Lord flood you with his goodness. A sudden hush fell upon the congregation. It felt surreal, a sacred pocket of time where every heart resonated with yearning, every soul seeking the divine touch. As they fell silent, a gentle breeze rushed through the church, stirring the curtains once more, a whisper of promise, a kiss of hope from above. Now, the stranger urged, ask for what you need. Let your faith rise in boldness. Mary squeezed James' hand tighter, practically vibrating with anticipation. She felt a quiet assurance settling into her spirit. Suddenly, a wave of clarity washed over her mind. Does God not meet us even in our doubts? She thought, the realization flickering like light in darkness. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she began to whisper her prayer aloud, her voice rising among the others, a simple plea for reconciliation, for healing, for a miracle. And as the melody of prayers rose, James stood at the edge of surrender, a battle between fear and faith waging within him. Would he let go? Could he truly believe? With every fiber of his being, he leaned into the collective aura of faith surrounding him. Lord, I ask for a sign, a moment where I can feel you, truly see you, and believe. The moment pressed against the walls of the church, holding its breath. Could this be the moment of divine intervention he so desperately sought? The stranger, sensing the tension, leaned closer. Prepare, dear ones. The Lord hears you and your miracle approaches. What would transpire in the sacred silence? Would they embrace the forthcoming grace? Mary glanced at James, heart pounding. Would this lead them to a breakthrough, or would doubts linger as shadows in their hearts? The congregation waited, a fragile thread of hope weaving through them all, anticipating the unseen. What awaited them next in the unfolding tapestry of faith? The air thickened with anticipation, a divine pause stretching out like an unseen hand cupping the faces of the faithful. Each heart beat with a rhythm of hope, as hushed whispers filled the sacred space, blending into a symphony of prayer, rising towards the heavens. Mary felt her spirit leap as she sensed a change. The warmth she had clung to deepened into a fierce thirst for God's presence. It was as if the very atmosphere was charged, thick with electric possibilities. He is here, she thought, the realization washing over her like a tide. The stranger stood before them, his eyes piercing through the gathering shadows. Now! He called out, urgency lacing his voice. Release your prayers into the universe. Claim what you seek. Glimmers of faith flickered in the eyes all around her, a chorus of requests flooding the air. Each plea was infused with desperation and the aching desire for healing, physical, emotional, and spiritual. As the fervor escalated, Mary found her voice joining the other prayers, a harmonizing note amid collective yearning. Lord, I seek healing for my sister. Restore her spirit. Bring her back to me. Let her feel your love. Her words spilled out, heavy with longing yet light with expectation. It was a prayer steeped in love, reaching upward like an arrow shot into the dark sky. James, caught in the tide of emotion, breathed deeply. What have I been waiting for? He questioned inwardly, feeling the echoes of his past doubts crashing against a newfound conviction. New courage filled him. You hold my questions, Lord, give me your certainty. In that moment, the stranger pointed towards the stained glass window, where light began to splinter and refract, illuminating the nave with bursts of color. Look! He shouted, his voice echoing against the thick stone walls. The signs of the Lord's love are all around you. Open your eyes and see what the Father is doing. Gasps punctuated the air as the congregation shifted, faith palpable. Like a sudden downpour after a drought, a wave of emotion surged through the crowd, a collective sigh of relief, a release of pent-up longings. Step into the supernatural, beloved. The stranger urged now, his words vibrating with fervent conviction. Each of you plays a part in this miracle. It begins in your hearts. Allow the Lord to transform you from within. Remember, he paused, drawing every gaze to him. Every miracle starts with a moment of faith. An overwhelming sense of unity settled in the room. Faces turned to one another, eyes filled with tears, and hearts opened as unspoken bonds of shared faith knitted tighter. Mary felt herself smile, the warmth of community bolstering her spirit. She watched as strangers turned into neighbors, neighbors into friends, all gathered under the canopy of faith. If our God can create light from darkness, he can certainly illuminate our paths, Mary reflected, holding tightly to James' hand as if it were a lifebuoy in turbulent seas. Our prayers have power, he whispered, and she nodded, overwhelmed. Just then, the stranger pointed dramatically to the altar, where a soft golden light appeared to spill down like the morning sun. Miracle! He exclaimed with joy, and the crowd murmured in amazement, a ripple of excitement swishing through their spirit-filled hearts. Look towards the altar. Believe. With eyes fixed on the radiant glow, Mary felt that familiar stirring within her, a divine connection igniting her spirit. The light pulsed as if in rhythm with the collective heartbeat of prayer, a pulse she could hear in the silence, but as joy swelled, an undercurrent of doubt flickered through the shadows, whispering questions about the nature of this light. Is it truly a sign? As they stood in awe, breath held in anticipation, Mary looked at James, uncertainty dawning in her eyes. Could this be just a trick of the light, or is it something more? In that electrified moment, faith battled doubt, and the expectation of a miracle hung in the air, urging them all forward. Would they take the next step towards the divine? Would they allow their hearts to truly believe? Hope mingled with trepidation, and the gathering waited, poised on the edge of the unknown. What would they discover in the light? What miracle awaited them? Would they embrace whatever was to unfold? The soft golden light at the altar flickered gently, casting a warm embrace around Mary and James. Each heartbeat reverberated with unspoken hopes. The air throbbed with a sacred energy, a rush of possibility dancing around them, swirling like the bright colors of the stained glass above. Believe, whispered a voice in her heart, no louder than a breath yet resounding like a drum. Mary turned towards the stranger, whose eyes sparkled with an ethereal light. His gaze felt like a lighthouse, urging them to step closer, to leap into faith. You are on the precipice of a beautiful revelation. With an in-breath steeped in courage, she squeezed James' hand tighter. Together, she murmured, finding strength in his presence. They took a step forward, their feet moving almost of their own accord, the warmth of the golden light becoming an inviting blaze. The stranger beckoned them closer. This light, my beloveds, is a doorway. A passage into the divine. Miracles await those bold enough to step through. His voice was steady, empowered, and it transmitted hope like a vibrant current. Mary felt her heart quicken. The warmth of the light seeped into her very being, washing over her doubts, banishing them like mist retreating before the dawn. She caught sight of other faces around her, each were transformed, expressions shifting from trepidation to eager reverence. Voices lifted in soft agreement, echoing the challenge of faith rising within them all. Lord, Mary prayed silently, give me eyes to see and a heart to believe. Her prayer pulsed with urgency, resonating in the stillness as she felt a wave of reassurance ripple through the crowd. You are not alone, the stranger's voice cut through the thick silence. Each one of you carries a piece of the divine within. Encourage one another, pray for one another. Let this be your collective offering. As if orchestrated by a celestial conductor, hands began to rise, opening palms pointed toward the altar. Continual waves of prayers rushed forth, cascading together like an unbroken stream. Heal us. Restore us. Fill us with faith. Each plea merged into a collective heartbeat, thumping with intensity, vibrant and expectant. James closed his eyes, letting the warmth swirl around him. I sense something happening, he murmured to Mary, a shift, a promise. She nodded, feeling it too. The air was electric, crackling with possibility. Here comes the miracle. A voice called out from the crowd, and suddenly, the light pulsed more brightly, almost dancing, as if it breathed in, then out, synchronizing with their anticipations. The stranger's arms spread wide. Now is the time. Step boldly into this light. His voice commanded, yet it was tender, like a father urging his children to soar. Mary's heart raced. Could she really step into this luminous promise? Would it be enough? The unknown is but a shadow before the brilliance of God's love, the words of the stranger echoed in her mind. Spurred by a jolt of courage, she took a cautious step forward, pulling James along with her. "Let us claim our miracle," Mary called out, her voice rising as the collective cries swelled around her. Yet, just as they reached the edge of that golden embrace, a final question fluttered in her mind, leaving her breathless. What if our stepping in changes everything? The atmosphere quaked with expectancy, hearts tethered in suspense, as the radiant light burst forth with a new intensity, bathing them all in divine revelation. Would they step into faith, confronting their fears? And what awaited them on the other side of this luminous threshold? Only time would reveal the answers, as they stood ready, hearts aligned, searching for God in the glow. The light swelled, enveloping Mary and James, pulling them nearer, as if the divine itself longed for their touch. Mary felt an exhilaration swell in her heart, it felt like butterflies and thunder in equal measure. Each pulse of that glowing warmth resonated with a promise she couldn't quite grasp, but she felt it deep within. Something beautiful awaited just ahead. "Let us do this." James' words broke through the whirlwind of her thoughts, their urgency reminding her that faith required action. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw faces bright with hope and determination mirrored in the flickering light. They were ready to embrace whatever miracle lay ahead. With a deep breath, they stepped forward. The moment their feet brushed the threshold, a wave of coolness washed over them, as if entering a hidden realm. They were no longer just bystanders, they had crossed into something profoundly sacred. Mary looked around and saw those who had prayed together now standing taller, their eyes wide with wonder. "Can you feel it?" Mary whispered to James, overwhelmed by the all-encompassing love that swirled and shimmered. "It's like we're not alone anymore." And there in that moment, voices rose, some mundane, some ethereal, as each believer surrendered their burdens to the light. "I see healing," a woman cried, clutching her chest where an ache had long resided. "My heart is whole." Her joy spilled into the air, like pouring nectar, sweetening the atmosphere. "Lord, thank you," somebody else shouted, tears streaming down their cheeks, a testament to the miraculous unfolding. Each exclamation brought more faith, igniting the collective spirit that now filled the space. James squeezed Mary's hand tighter. "We've opened a door, we're inside it now." He turned to the stranger, who remained a figure of peace amidst the chaos. "What is happening here?" The stranger smiled, eyes twinkling. "Look closely, dear ones. For you have stepped into the realm of divine possibility. It's within you as much as within the light surrounding you. Ask, and you shall receive." With growing anticipation echoing in their hearts, they began to lift their voices together, a cacophony of devotion mingling in soulful harmony. "Lord, show us. Heal our doubts. Lead us toward our purpose." The atmosphere shifted once more. The light intensified, pushing back shadows that lingered in their hearts for too long. A deep sense of belonging filled the gap where they had previously felt isolated. Mary glanced at James, their eyes met, vibrated with understanding. They were part of something larger, a tapestry woven with divine threads of love, hope, and promise. "I can almost see it," Mary breathed, her heart racing at the revelation. "Can we really claim a miracle? Can we?" The stranger interrupted her blossoming thoughts, his voice carrying a gentle authority. "Yes. Do not be afraid to let the unknown guide you. This light is not just an answer, it's a call to plunge deeper into faith. Will you further seek it?" The crowd murmured in fervent agreement, longing rippling through them like a rising tide. With each heartbeat, the light glowed. Time seemed to dissolve as a blanket of peace shrouded them, settling on their shoulders like a comforting hug from above. It felt as though they had pierced through an invisible veil that separated the world from divine connection. Mary James' voice lowered, reverent. "Let us trust what is coming." Just imagine suddenly, a bright flash illuminated the space, a blinding white that momentarily obscured everything. Murmurs turned into gasps, and all eyes were drawn to the center, where the radiant brilliance climaxed. Was this the moment they had longed for, the divine encounter that would change everything? As the light ebbed and flowed, one question reverberated in the air, charged with both curiosity and determination: what if this is only the beginning of our journey into the heart of the miraculous? And they stood there together, hearts pounding in anticipation of the unfolding divine mystery. Would they be ready to embrace what lay ahead, to follow the beckoning of faith into the depths of an unknown promise? As the blinding light gradually settled into a warm glow, a hush fell over the crowd. It was as if time itself had momentarily paused, allowing every heart to listen intently to the sacred silence that enveloped them. Mary felt a stillness beyond words, a tranquil space where hope danced alongside faith. She turned to James, eyes shimmering. "Did you feel that? It's like everything is connected." "Yes," James replied, nodding slowly, "it's as if our souls are resonating with the promise that we are seen, that we belong." One by one, the gathering began to shift, stepping closer together. It was an instinctive response to the powerful energy in the air, a magnetic pull toward deeper unity. With hands clasped and heads bowed, they formed a circle, a congregation of souls craving connection, a communion nourished by the light surrounding them. From the heart of the circle, the stranger raised his arms, palms open to the heavens. "Let us invite the divine," he proclaimed, his voice ringing with authority and tenderness. "We are here to call forth the transformations that lie within." Mary could feel the sentiment buzzing in the air, an electric charge scattering among them. The stranger's words poured into her like water into parched soil. "Lord, awaken in us the courage to receive what is beyond our understanding. Let the walls of doubt fall, and the doors of faith swing wide." With every invocation, the glow around them shifted. It pulsed and shimmered, almost as if responding to the collective devotion of the congregation. The sounds of heartfelt prayers mingled, an embrace of vulnerability offered to the divine. "Heal our wounds," a voice cried. "Make us whole," another echoed, turning desperation into determination. Mary closed her eyes, surrendering to the moment. "What if?" she whispered, her thoughts twirling like dandelions in the wind. "What if we open ourselves to the impossible? Then we shall know miraculous grace," came a chorus of voices, resonating in unison, strong and alive. Suddenly, a ripple of laughter burst forth, spontaneous and bright, breaking through the intensity that held them captive. An elderly woman stepped forward, her face radiant, tears glistening like jewels. "Oh dear ones," she exclaimed, her voice shaky but full of joy. "I felt pain weight like lead in my heart for so long." And now she paused, hand on her chest, laughter spilling forth. "It's gone. I'm free." The air crackled with ecstasy. Mary looked at James, and together they could feel the momentum growing. The stranger met their wondrous gazes, inviting them further into the whirlpool of grace. "This is only a glimpse. Trust the unfolding, dear ones. You are participants in a grand dance of love, glory, and healing." Mary's heart soared. If we are truly invited to participate, what miracles await us beyond this sacred circle? Then, another voice emerged, bold and defiant: "But what if the cost is our comfort? What if it demands more than we are willing to give?" The atmosphere stilled momentarily, each question hanging in the sacred space. With every face turned toward the light, doubt clashed with desire. The stranger smiled, a knowing shadow behind his gaze. "Fear not the unknown. For every step you take deeper into faith, the miracles will chase after you." As every heart pondered that profound invitation, Mary felt a magnetic pull, a fierce thought igniting deep within. What if they summoned the courage to leap into uncertainty, breaking the very chains that tied them? With anticipation swirling like a sweet perfume around them, a single thought resonated through the air: what greater miracles lie waiting to be revealed, just beyond the edge of their faith? In their hearts, the query lingered, enticing them to take that leap into a divine journey, where healing, hope, and heart awaited. They knew, without doubt, that the next step held the promise of the extraordinary. As the congregants stood together, hearts entwined in faith and yearning, the golden light swirled around them, enveloping each soul in warmth and hope. Mary felt an exhilarating pulse of divine presence. This was not just an event, it was a movement, a sacred invitation to step further into the unknown. Everything had changed, and she could sense it in the very air around her. Together, we'll open the doors to miracles. The stranger called out, his voice ringing with an undeniable authority. Each word seemed to crack open the sky above them, inviting divine grace to pour in. This is your moment to act. Release your fears, claim your testimonies. A wave of urgency flooded through the crowd. They surged closer together, hands raised toward the altar, as if beckoning heaven itself. Hearts that once trembled with doubt were now ablaze with resolute faith. Mary turned to James, excitement igniting her spirit. This is it, James. We have to embrace it. Let us do it, he replied, a newfound conviction dancing in his eyes as he anchored his grip around Mary's hand. The shift within him was palpable, an awakening that sprang forth from deep within, breaking barriers he thought irreversible. With one voice, the congregation began to weave their prayers together, a tapestry of hopes and pleas that soared to the heavens. It was no longer just a longing, it was a declaration. Heal us, Lord. Restore our families. Bring clarity to our paths. Each request pulsed with raw intensity, as they learned what true surrender looked like. The stranger beamed at the display around him. You wield power in unity, dear ones. As your faith rises, behold what the Lord can do. Suddenly, the golden light grew even brighter, flooding the church with warmth and brilliance. Gasps of wonder coursed through the crowd. The villagers instinctively inched towards the source of illumination, drawn by the promise of healing and answers. Shadows faded, not just from the architecture but from their spirits as well. Faces lit up, reflecting newfound hope. The atmosphere danced with anticipation, miracles were on the brink of unfolding. Caught in the current of belief, Mary caught glimpses of familiar faces, some still weighed down by reluctance, yet drawn closer by an unseen force. They had seen Daniel's recovery, evidence of divine touch, and now they stood, ready to believe again. Step into the light, beloveds. The stranger encouraged, his arms wide and welcoming. Do not hesitate. Your faith and fears do not share the same space. James took a deep breath, feeling the warmth envelop him, coaxing his doubts into retreat. This is our time, Mary, he whispered urgently, as if finally awakening to the profound truth surrounding them. Together, they stepped forward, hand in hand, crossing a threshold into radiant possibility. I am ready. Mary shouted, her voice ringing with boldness. Lord, I believe in your promise of miracles. And then everything changed. The room pulsed with light, the collective energy of every prayer igniting an explosive wave of divine grace. The glow enveloped them, rushing through every corner of the church, crashing down like a waterfall of love. Echoes of joy rose as one by one, individuals felt the weight of burdens lift, bodies healed, losses restored. I see. Cried out a man in the back, tears streaming down his cheeks. I can feel it. I've been set free. Distant prayers from earlier came to life, intertwining their stories into a vivid tapestry of triumph. Laughter erupted like fireworks, filling each heart with the realization that they had crossed a threshold into the extraordinary. Look! The stranger shouted, amazement shining bright in his expression. The Lord reveals himself in your faith. Together, you have stepped into his grace, and the miracles have begun. Standing beside her husband, Mary gazed into the penetrating light enveloping them. In this moment, she felt not just an awakening of the spirit, but the deepening of her relationship with James. Their hands clasped tightly, she sensed their hearts beating in unison. This was their rebirth. Just imagine what this faith can do. Mary exclaimed. She turned and beamed at the assembled community, now one in spirit. Let us carry this forward. Let us witness what God has in store for each of us. A raucous cheer erupted amongst the villagers, voices mingling in gratitude, love, and anticipation for the next chapter of their journey. In that small English church, amidst the blossoming light and cascading joy, the unity of faith transformed them. Doubt was swept away, fear relinquished, and a powerful new narrative made way for healing, community, and divine promise. You are the light of the world. The stranger proclaimed, woven through every syllable. Go, and share your testimony. Let it resonate and awaken others, so they too may believe. As the newly emboldened group emerged from the embrace of the divine light, they stepped out into a world yearning for the extraordinary, their faith forged in fire, ready to transform lives beyond their own. They would carry this light, this miraculous promise, into every shadowed corner, igniting hope and stirring the hearts that awaited awakening. Mary looked into James' eyes, overflowing with gratitude and love. This is only the beginning, she breathed, as they stepped out into the sun-kissed village together, hearts aligned with a divine purpose. And the journey? It was just unfolding. You need to subscribe now. Don't wait even one more second to support this channel and keep the faith stories flowing. Leave a like now to help us lift the algorithm with your divine enthusiasm. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this powerful conclusion. Your voice matters. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. Only true servants of God understand the importance of spreading faith. Stand with us in this mission.